Hi, everyone, and welcome to your special class with a difference today called Rising Above the Dark Days and How to Find the Gold in the Yuck. So, here's the thing, you are all going to have dark days as animal communicators. Fact. It's just going to happen. And it doesn't matter how great your training, how much confidence boosting work we do, whilst that will always stand you in good stead, you are still likely to bump up against a dark day or two. And what I really want to equip you with here is the tools that you can put into your toolkit to minimize the impact that that has for you and show you techniques and strategies that will help you neutralize that impact so that you can bounce back more quickly and get back to doing what you love and what you want to do. And that is showing up and making your difference in the world for the animals. So dark days are going to come. And what I'm going to share with you here is some strategies around how to deal with that. But here's the thing, I'm teaching you this through the lens of being an animal communicator. But these strategies you can use in any area of your life. They will not just work exclusively in your animal communication work. They will work everywhere. So if you're having a dark day because your mum's spoiled Christmas for the 10th year running, then you can use these techniques to get out of that. If you're having maybe not even a dark day, but a dark week because your relationship is falling apart or is in some kind of disarray, then you can use these same techniques. Because what I love about animal communication work is if you allow it to be, animal communication, or certainly the way that I teach it, is a whole personal growth journey in its own right. Because every block, every doubt, every fear that you have in your life will show up in your animal communication work. And so I just love how when we commit to that part of the growth process, we grow as animal communicators, but we also grow as extraordinary human beings as well. So this stuff always excites me. So when you have that time where you've hit a dark place, whether that is just a down mood, whether that's a couple of days of just wanting to stay in bed, or whether you are in a deep black hole that feels like it's got smooth sides and there's no grip and you can't get yourself out of there, I know that place. It's not a nice place. These are the things that I want you to be remembering. Everything everything that we do is energetic. Our communication with animals is done on an energetic level. We are energy. That's all proven. That's scientifically proven and accepted. We're made of energy. The world's made of energy. Everything vibrates at an energetic frequency. But we have different energetic frequencies within that. And I'm going to allude slightly to the chakra system because most people, even if they don't know it, they've heard of it. So it will make sense, but it is just part of a bigger picture. So we have our seven main chakra centers through our body: the root, the sacral, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the brow, and the crown. If you listen to Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, he has an additional one that sits between the throat and the brow. So he puts that extra energy point in there because there is a place in the brain that is sparked through compression that creates a scientifically measurable impact. So he has this extra one that he refers to in there. But all in all, I think the world over, we accept that these are the seven energy centers. Now, the heart is the center of the energy system. So the seven main chakras, the heart sits at the center. And we talk about the chakras, the higher chakras, which sit above the heart, and the lower chakras, which sit below the heart. And I really want to take our awareness and our attention to these lower vibrational energies. So that's the first, the second, and the third, which is the root chakra, the sacral chakra, and the solar plexus. These are our lower vibrational energies. There's nothing wrong with them. They are what they are. It's not that it's bad. As human beings, we tend to live out of those lower chakras, those lower centers. When we're in the upper chakras, the energy is different. And I just want to, I can't remember who asked me this question. I have a feeling it was Shayla, but I might have made that up. Might have made that up. But somebody once asked me, was it wrong to be in the lower like centers? Were they not good as well? So I want to be really clear. There's not good energy centers. There's not bad energy centers. It's just energy. Energy just is energy. And energy, we can move. We can move energy. So it's not about good, bad, right, or wrong. It just is what it is. And these lower chakras, certainly the solar plexus, the power that's in the solar plexus for you to create will and drive and motivation for you to get through this program, you're going to tap into your solar plexus. Like, I'm going to get it done. I'm going to get that case study done. I'm going to read those modules. If you can't be bothered to do that, you're going to be relying on that third energy center. That's your center of will, motivation, determination. Your second center, your sacral chakra, that's all about movement, creativity. So Shayla, you've been talking a lot about making time for yourself and being creative and working out how to find your own flow. That's where you find that, in that second center. That's also your center of sensuality, sexuality. It's where the lover in you resides. And I don't mean lover as in sex, but the lover is the part of us that's playful and curious and loves to make things pretty and is just inspired when she sees the buds and the flowers start to bloom open. That's all lover energy. That's all in the second center. That's powerful energy too. And then our first center, that's all about trust and solidity and faith and like the real rocks and foundations of who we are. So I just wanted to bring that in because they have their positive influence and impact on our lives. And I don't want you to think that they don't have a place or they're not positive, because they are. They also have a flip side. So the solar plexus, where we get our drive and our motivation to get through the course and get our case studies done, that's also the center that says, oh, you're not any good at this. Why did you sign up to this? You're never going to be able to manage it. Oh, if you think you had problems with the last one, wait till you see what's going to happen with this case study. That's all the solar plexus energy as well. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I have no self-esteem. I have no confidence. I'm not important. I'm not significant. I'm not relevant. That's all the solar plexus as well. So I don't know if that O was to me, Shayla, or to somebody else. And that's okay. That's okay. I just wondered if something was starting to drop in. So when you have all those emotions, I call them incestuous cousins, because it's an incestuous relationship. Like, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not relevant, I'm not important. You know, they're all, yeah, they're all, it's an incestuous relationship where everybody's all in it together. So that's there. And the second energy center, that's her guilt. So if we are the guilt queen and we feel responsible for everyone and everything, that's her coming out to play. And that will absolutely thwart and crush your lover energy and your creativity and your flow, because you're too busy feeling guilty about taking time out for yourself. Like, whoa, who am I to give myself an hour to look at me, to be with me? That's how that flip doesn't support you in that second center. And the first one is fear. So when you're gripped by fear, like, what if I get my communications wrong? What if the guardian rejects me? What if they tell me it's all rubbish? That's all the fear coming up. So when that fear is really coming out to play, you can't create solid foundations for yourself and for your life. So I just wanted to touch on the two sides. If anybody is interested in this work, I have a course on this that you can access, and I can't remember how much it is, but if you're interested, you can have a look at it if you want to go deeper into the chakras. So I just wanted to focus on those lower ones, because when we're in our dark days and in our dark places, you are being activated by one of these lower three energy centers. One of them will be leading the way. You might feel like they're all activated. I'm scared and I'm feeling guilt and I'm feeling shame and I don't think I'm good enough. You could have the whole party going on, but there will be one that drives and leads the way. And so when we're in our dark days, that's the energy that we are in. We are in those lower energy vibrations. And then remember I said the heart is the center. It's like it's the center point, it's the gateway. It's the gateway to the upper chakras. So coming up through the lower chakras, coming up through the heart, we then start to open up and we're coming up through the throat. Now the throat's quite a narrow, it's quite a narrow area. So a lot can get lost in translation in the throat as well. Throat's our center of, people will say that's the center of communication. It is the center of communication, but that's not its only purpose. Its main purpose is the center of your authentic self. So it's the center of your authentic self. This is your authenticity. And so when you have, she says with a sore throat today, when you're not speaking your truth, you might end up with a sore throat or constant throat issues, laryngitis, tonsillitis, because your throat has forever been impacted by you not being able to speak your truth or live your life in your truth or to be your true authentic self. So we're coming up through the heart, through this is like the gateway, that the heart is the bridge to these upper chakras. And then the brow, this is our ability to connect with the other realms. This is where we get to talk to the fairies and go to all the other places, like the brow. Like this is, but this is also where we can have illusions as well. And this is why a lot of mental health problems are usually major blocks in the brow and the crown chakra. But we're not going to get onto that. If you want to know more about that, that's in the course. So we're coming up into these upper chakras, but we are now moving through, so that the heart chakra is actually the air element. So air is much lighter. The lower chakras are much more, their elements are much more solid, earth, water. But here we've got air, which is light. And then we're moving up and it's getting lighter and lighter. And everybody often talks about love being the highest vibration. It's not. It is a high vibration, but it's not the highest vibration. There are actually quite a lot of vibrations above love. Love sits here, and this is a good place to go. And this is where I'd recommend you start. But there are other vibrations way above love, like through joy and up to pure consciousness. Not many people reach that level in our lifetimes. And if we do, we don't often stay there very long. We can kind of drop back down again. But what we're working towards is moving into this energy of love and into those higher chakras. So the reason this is important to know, and if you want to know more about this specifically, David Hawkins' book, Power versus Force. And Robin, remind me, I'm sure you purchased I can't remember what I called it. Was it The Power of Love? I'm sure you purchased that. So in that, I go into this much more deeply in that video. So I did a thing, I think it was last year, maybe the year before, and it's not normally available for sale, but I had it on sale over the summer. So if anybody else is interested, I can put the link. I'll put the link out to everybody for the chakra course and for the Power of Love, because the Power of Love training is really deep and juicy and takes the elements of what we're talking about in this first half hour into a much deeper place. So David Hawkins, The Power of Love, he has all these different vibrational frequencies, and he's scaled them and has put them in the order of which they vibrate in the human body. And so fear, in fact, my training tells me that fear is the lowest vibration. And his work, he has something else as the lowest vibration, and it escapes me at the moment. I think it's shame. I think he has shame as the lowest vibration. But they're all, remember I said at the beginning, they're all incestuous cousins. They're all in bed together. They are so close. So all the vibrations of guilt and fear and shame, and they're all these lower vibrational energies. And what actually happens, and I don't think I talked about this on that training class that I just alluded to, but what can sometimes happen is that as human beings, we can become addicted to those energies, those lower vibrational energies. Who would have thought? Who would have thought we would ever want to be addicted to fear, or addicted to shame, or addicted to guilt? But we do become and can become addicted to those energies because they feed us something in return. Everything's a payoff, always. So even though your head might say, oh, I want to go to love and I want to get out of this dark place and go up to the loving vibration, your body might just be screaming at you to stay down here, and then to have the story that just repeats and reminds you of why you're so worthless, why you're so useless, why nobody loves you, why nobody wants you. And then you're caught in that story and in that loop, and you're sucked right down into these lower vibrations. So I want to show you how you can move out of them, but I think it's really important that you have that conceptual awareness of the different energy points in the body, the different vibrational frequencies that we all have access to, so that you know what it is that you're trying to get out of, and you know what it is that you're trying to get to. So I would always start with love. And then if you get beyond that, that's a bonus. That's a bonus. So if you're in your dark days, your yuck experiences, it means that something has happened. Maybe you've been triggered by something. Maybe you had a really rubbish animal communication session and you think, why am I even doing this? Maybe the guardian said, yo, it's all wrong, and I don't think you were actually talking to my dog at all. Like, that's enough to make anybody want to go hide under the duvet, eat chocolate or ice cream, or even drink wine. So I don't have any judgment on that. If that's what you need to do, then go do it. I just don't want you to be doing that still a week later. So I like the idea of a pity party. So I'm going to talk a little bit to that. But before I go into pity party, I'm going to talk about self-compassion. So when you're in your dark days, the first place you really want to go to is self-compassion. And there's some brilliant work on this by Michael Rosenberg. I love his work. He's got a whole movement on non-violent communication. And it's how communication is used to wound people. Whether you do it deliberately or not, that's another story. But his big piece, chapter 9, is the chapter. Guess how I know that one? Because that's the piece that I needed to keep going to, about self-compassion. So when you're having those dark times, it's about finding your way to be compassionate with yourself. Because the person that is going to be the hardest on you, the cruelest to you, isn't the person that did the thing to you. It's going to be yourself. Give me a nod if that resonates for you. When something happens, it's us. Oh, you're so stupid. How could you have? Oh my God, did you not learn from the last time? That's the stuff we tell ourselves over and over again. And this is where the self-compassion comes in. So that's your first step, self-compassion. Now, I know for Robin here live, for anybody watching this on the replay that hasn't watched today's accountability call, you will have seen, or maybe you haven't seen. So, Shayla, is it okay for me to talk a little bit about your last question? Thank you. So, Shayla brought up the question about knowing. So, knowing intellectually, cognitively, she knows that she's never really alone. She's worked out that she has her team there, but whether it's your power animal, your angels, your guides, we all have them. Whether we see them, believe it or not, they're there. Even if you don't believe it, they're still there. So Shayla now knows through some recent experiences that she's not actually on her own, even though she's believed in the past that she was. I had that belief too. So I've walked that journey path as well. But what Shayla's question was, and it was really interesting, was around, I know that I'm never really alone. but it somehow feels better when there's somebody actually there, somebody I can touch, somebody that I can speak to, somebody that can give me a hug when I need a hug. And this is why I've chosen this example from the earlier class today, Shayla, because in the self-compassion, you might be in your dark moment all by yourself. And you might not have somebody there that can give you a hug. You might not have anybody there that's really got your back, because they might also be saying, why on earth did you do that? What on earth possessed you to say what you said at the table or to do what you did? So they might also be feeding into your own internal, beating yourself up. So when you are in this place of a dark space, you want to be able to give yourself compassion. And so you want to change the story that's in your head. That's the first place to go. So that inner hug, when you need a hug and there's nobody else there, this is where the power is in finding your way to do that for yourself. And that might look very different for each of you. But it's finding what helps you feel good about yourself in this moment. What helps you feel better about what's happened? What helps you calm down your central nervous system and activate your parasympathetic nervous system? Do you know what that is? And it doesn't matter if you don't. This class is about teaching you ways to do that. So the first thing is self-compassion. So you want to change any negative stories that are running in your head. Change the thought. What's the thought? Cancel it out. I love the power of three. It's a universal law, the power of three. So if I have a thought that's jumped in and it's not serving me, cancel, cancel, cancel. Power of three, it has to happen. Cancel, cancel, cancel. Thought's gone. Now I need to correct that thought. I need to change it to something more positive, something more empowering. Now, you might be in a really yuck place and you might know that you've done something that wasn't perfect or wasn't ideal and you would never do again. So I had something like that quite recently, actually, just a couple of months ago. And it's like, okay, this is making me feel physically sick, the thing that's going on. It's making me feel physically sick. Don't like it, not sleeping, because I don't know about any of you guys, but I usually wake up about stupid o'clock and the head starts worrying with, why did you do that? What did you say that for? Oh my goodness. Da, 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 da. Or is that just me? Am I the only one that does that? No, okay, I'm not alone. So when that kind of stuff is happening, then maybe you did do something. So, and with my situation, I never intentionally did anything to cause harm to anybody else. That would never be my intention. And I know that at my core. But I also recognized I didn't handle it very well. And if I had a do-over, I would handle it differently. So that was the piece of the story that I had to change. It's like, okay, Sarah Jane, you did kind of fuck up there. That wasn't your finest moment. And it wasn't your finest moment because this was going on for you, that was going on for you, that was going on. And when you were juggling all of that, you didn't even think about that because you were only focused over here. So you missed it. You didn't see it. You missed it. Lesson learned will never happen again. But do you see how that's much better than the voice that just keeps telling you that you're crap and you're rubbish and you're really cocked up and you really didn't do it? And I realised that I swore there, so my apologies if that upset anybody. But yeah, your voice is telling you all of that. So you can, even if you can't let yourself off the hook because you are on the hook. So in my situation, I was on the hook. I didn't do it intentionally. I didn't do it deliberately. I just did something that had a consequence that I didn't foresee. But the self-compassion was, okay, I didn't foresee that. So instead of keeping on beating myself up about it, let me just reason out why that didn't happen and just be kind to myself, that I had too much going on. Had a million things that I was absolutely responsible for lots of different people. And I just didn't foresee that. But it's happened. I can't change it, but I can make sure it doesn't happen again. So that's how we can bring self-compassion in, even when you're fully on the hook for something. And when you're not on the hook, you want to let yourself off the hook because it's only you that's putting yourself there. So if this is somebody's reaction to you, it's about them. If this is you being triggered by something, that's about you. And this is your opportunity to dive deeper. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in the second section for today. But when you're in that dark space, the first place you want to go is self-compassion. And part of your self-compassion is to change the story that you're telling yourself. Kinder words, more supportive words, empowering words. So that's step 2. And then what you want to do next is to change your energy state. So you really want to move from the energy that you're in to a different energy state. I'm going to backtrack to the self-compassion piece, which is the first step. I'm going to make a step 1B. So we've got 1B or a 1.1 when I mentioned earlier about the pity party. So a lot of people will use the expression pity party and they'll say, oh my goodness, you're having a pity party, like, oh, what a victim you are. I don't subscribe to that thinking at all. I actually think pity parties are really powerful because when you're in a pity party, and if nobody knows what that expression is, it's when you're feeling sorry for yourself. You know, you're really in that place of like, oh, poor me. Oh my God, everybody hates me. And I can't believe what I said. I'm never going to be able to show my face to that friend group ever again. And I'm just going to take myself out of the WhatsApp group. You know, when you're in that place, that's your pity party. You're in a place of pity and you're feeling sorry for yourself. And whilst people will say that that's not healthy and it's not good and it's a victim mentality, total BS. When you're in a pity party, that is an element of self-compassion. There's a part of that is you being compassionate with yourself because you're seeing the parts of you that are feeling really raw. You're seeing your wounded self that now feels so small that you could fit into somebody's pocket. You're witnessing that in your pity party. You're this tiny version of you. So in that space, when you're having that pity party, you can scoop her up. That tiny version of you that feels so small and insignificant and so worthless, you can scoop her up in your pity party and say, oh yeah, it's a real shame. Like that was so bad, wasn't it? So that is an element of self-compassion. And you can go there in a pity party. So I actually think pity parties are really healthy and positive. They're just not healthy and positive if you're still there 5 days later, especially if you've got the wine and the chocolate in there as well. So 5 days later, and you're still in that place where you're crying and really feeling sorry for yourself, you're stuck now. But in that pity party for 24 hours, 48 hours, you're processing and you're allowing yourself to see the parts that need compassion, the part that feels embarrassed, that feels shamed, that feels worthless, that feels stupid, that feels talked about, that feels judged, criticized. You're allowing yourself to see her. And that's the power in there. So we just don't want to stay there. So that's the 1B or the 1.1. And then what we want to do, as I said before, we're changing the story. So let yourself have the story. Let the story go out there. Let the story grow its arms and legs. And then we want to curtail that and bring it back to reality. Is that really true? Am I really worthless because I said such and somebody had a reaction to it? No, that's not true. Am I really just this tiny, insignificant person? No, that's just how I felt in that moment or for that day. But now that I'm coming in with a different perspective and I'm into mop up and clean up, so you're bringing in your rubber gloves, your brushes, your mops, your scrubbing brush, your bleach, you're bringing it all in, although I don't actually advocate bleach, but you get the idea. You're bringing it all in because we're now cleaning up. So now you're starting to clean up from your pity party. Your pity party's poured it all out and it's all over the floor and everywhere. So now you're cleaning that up and you're checking, you're sanity checking your statements. Is that true? Is that really true? So this is where we start to course correct in the mind and we create different stories because the mind is always going to tell a story. It will always tell a story. So take charge and change your story to something more positive. And then what we want to do next is change the energetic state. This is the key to rising above your yuck day. You might need to do that processing first. And if you do, bash on and give yourself the time and the space to do it. You might be able to just go straight to changing your energetic state. It really depends on what's happened and how you're feeling. So you might want to do these minor steps. You might want to just go to change the energy state. But the quotation that I want to leave with you all around this is really, really important. Energy flows where attention goes. This is so important, especially in regards to your pity party. So energy flows where attention goes. So if your attention is stuck on day 5, I'm so worthless, I'm so rubbish, I'm so like unlovable, nobody even likes me, never mind loves me. If you're stuck there in day 5, that's where your attention's been for 5 days. So where's your energy going for 5 days? It's going to those lower chakras. It's feeding the fear in the root chakra. It's feeding the guilt and the shame in the second and third center. It's feeding all the old wounds of not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy, significant, relevant, important. It's feeding all of that. So the more your attention is on all of that, the more your energy is flowing there to those lower chakras. That's why you stay stuck in the dark spaces. So what we want to do is move energetic state. And we're going to do an exercise right now so I can show you really quickly how you can do that. So I want you to imagine a time in your life in the past where you felt any of those examples, small, insignificant, shame, like, oh my God, I can't even show my face. I'm not even going to go out the door. I'm dismantling all my social media accounts. I'm too scared to look in my inbox. You know, whatever it is, I want you to think about that time. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. If you're listening on the replay, only do this if it's safe to do so. So close your eyes and just take yourself back to a time in the past where you had some less than positive thoughts about yourself. And I really want you to go into that memory. I don't want you to go into it 10 out of 10, but I do want you to go into it a good 5, 6, 7 out of 10. What was being said at the time? What was happening at the time? How did you feel at the time? What were the core emotions that were coming up for you? Perhaps it was shame. Oh, the shame. Maybe it was guilt. Oh, I'm so rubbish. I'm so useless. I never get anything right. I always cock it up. Never say the right thing. Maybe you offended somebody and they gave you it, double barreled right back at you, calling you out for offending them, upsetting them. And all you did was spoke your truth. Whatever the scenario is for you, feeling rejected, persecuted, victimized, bullied. Whatever was coming up for you, I want you to step back into that memory and really turn up the volume of what was going on for you at that time. Really turn that volume up. What was being said? What did you fear? You might not actually have heard anybody say anything, but what did you think they were saying? Oh my goodness, they're going to be saying this about me. They're going to think that about me. All of those stories. Turn it up the volume. Turn up the volume. All of those stories. And keep your eyes closed because you're in that space. But just give me a nod of your head if you're really feeling that right now. Like, how shitty do you feel right now? Give me a nod of your head if you're feeling that old crud from way back then. Right, excellent. So you're where I need you to be. Now, just put your thumb up and let me know, is that a good place to be, or put your thumb down? Is that a not so good place to be? I know it seems like a silly question, but I am asking it for deliberate. Yeah, so this is not a good place to be and you're really feeling it. So you're in the equivalent of a yuck space. You're having a yuck moment right here, right now. Now, if I just stop this, you would still be there. You would still be there. So this is how I'm showing you how to be really in a yuck space for real. That's why I got you to give me the thumbs up or thumbs down. So you're really there. You're not just imagining it. You're right there. You're feeling it in your body. And what I want you to do now is I want you to imagine a time in your life when you felt amazing. You felt so good. People around you were saying really positive things. Maybe it was something you achieved. Maybe it was something you were doing. Maybe it was an outcome that happened, or maybe you had just worn the most amazing outfit and you looked so darn hot and you just felt amazing in this outfit. Maybe you had been on a health kick and you were feeling good in your body and you felt good and that just oozed out to everybody. They said, oh, you look amazing. Whatever the situation, maybe you achieved something, maybe you helped somebody and you changed their life by a statement or a sentence or something that you shared with them and it had this profound effect. But I want you to go to a place where you felt absolutely amazing, so good that nothing could touch you. Even if you had a grumpy relative or friend that normally would bring your energy right down, their words couldn't even touch you because you feel so good. Your whole body feels so good, and you absolutely know that you did it. And it might be something that you did quietly that you didn't have people around noticing, and that's okay too. But this is something that you really did. You really experienced and you felt so good, whether that was an exuberant, really public display of feeling greatness that everybody could see, or whether it was a quiet moment of internal feeling good and feeling really confident in what you just had done. Give me a thumbs up if you're in that space. Yay! So, how does that feel? How does that feel now to feel all that good feeling, whether it was confidence or greatness or just happiness? Let's go to happiness. Conjure up a time in your life where you felt truly happy, like truly, truly happy. And it might only have happened once, but that's okay. You want to tap into the feeling, happiness and joy. What cracks your heart wide open? That cracks your heart open with sheer joy. This is way above the love vibration. What moment in your life brought you joy? Real, deep joy. And it doesn't need to be massive and big. I remember coming back from Assisi, my little pilgrimage to Assisi, and I walked into my kitchen and I looked out the kitchen window, and the very first flower had budded in the tub in the garden. And I remember feeling that joy, complete joy and awe at this little pink flower that's just grown in my absence. And the joy that I felt in that moment. And I called to my family. I was like, oh, come here, come here. And they're like, what is it? I was like, look at that pink flower. And they were like, really? It's just a flower, Mum. Like, what? It's a flower. But it didn't matter that they didn't get it. So it can be something like that. It doesn't have to be the birth of a child or anything miraculous in that kind of way. It can be anything at all. Where in your life did you have joy, even if it was just for one moment? And then just give me a thumbs up if you're able to locate that feeling. Perfect. So we've created confidence. We've retapped into confidence. We've tapped into joy and happiness. So I just want you now to allow that feeling of joy or happiness to just wash over you. Give it a color if you want to, and you can step into that color any time you need to ramp up your energy vibration. But just wrap yourself in that color, whatever color feels right and good for you, and then just roll your shoulders back, open your eyes, come back into this space. So I did that exercise very deliberately because I took you to a really yuck place that was a real lived experience for you at some time in your life. And I took you there very purposely so that I could show you how you can get out of that. It's just a feeling. You're in charge of your feelings. With my guidance, and I did direct you, but you chose to go to that old yucky memory in the same way that you chose to tap into a time when you felt great, where you felt happy, where you felt joy. So when you are in your yucky time, your yucky experience, you want to change your energy state. You want to come out of these lower energy vibration centers and up into the heart, love, gratitude, love and gratitude. Go to those places. What am I grateful for? Changes your energy. And that's how quickly we did that. That was just 5-6 minutes. Changed from one dismal, yuck, crappy place to feeling joyful and amazing. So if you've got time to sit down and do that, great. If not, you can play music. Put your happy music on. That works for me every time. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. And you dance like nobody's watching, preferably if nobody is watching. So you can really just let go. Because what the body also needs and benefits from is movement. Energy in its scientific equation is the movement of energy is energy through movement. That's what energy is. So we want to move that stuck energy. And whether that is you putting on some really loud kind of like ravey dance music and just like pure raving it out and you're, I'm sure my age using expressions like that, or whether you put on a pop song that you just really love, or maybe something sultry and you dance around in a kind of bring your lover energy in and have that more sultry movement and dance and music. That will change your energetic vibration. How many times have you been sitting or driving just feeling nothing, just neutral? You're just in a neutral energetic state. And then one of your favorite songs comes on the radio, you whack it up and you're driving in a totally different way and your shoulders are going, or you're sitting in your chair and you're doing your granny dance moves, you know, whatever. That's the power of music. So music's also a really quick, easy way to change your energetic vibration. So there you had it. Real, I wanted you to have that real experience of going from yuck to feeling good. You can do that. It's the energy, and you are in charge of where your energy is. Now remember, energy flows where attention goes. So put your attention on something good. Put your attention on something joyful. Put your attention on something loving, something that you're grateful for. Even though my life is really shit right now and I don't even want to get out of bed or leave the house or even go on social media, I'm grateful that I've got a house that I can have my pity party in. I'm grateful that I've got a bed that's so comfortable that I could lie here for the next 2 days and just cry. I'm so glad that I've got a washing machine that will wash all the mascara out of my pillowcases because I've cried so much. So we can go into gratitude. So that's the keys there. You want to change your energetic state. That's how you get out your yuck day. You want to be up in these higher vibrational energies. And the quickest, easiest way to be able to do that quickly is to go there every day. Just find a way to get there. Meditation, walking in nature, playing with your animals, whatever takes you to these moments of joy and wonder. Those are the places. The more we practice going there when we already feel okay, the easier it is for us to get to when we don't feel okay. So that's how we rise above the dark days. Now, finding the gold out of the yuck. So can I just go back actually? So what I invite you to do is a piece of play work after this class. List 10 ways that you can find your joy. That's your play work from that first section of the class. Find 10 ways that you can find your joy. And those are the places you want to go to when you're in your yuck spaces. Okay. So where we are going now is to how do we find the gold out of the yuck experiences? So this one is much more about reflective practice, because we always have experiences that don't feel good. And as animal communicators, you will come across that. You'll have a case study that just didn't go to plan. You'll have a guardian feedback that did not feel good. You will have these moments in your animal communication journey where you have a yuck experience. It will happen. You might have, well, hopefully you won't have a yucky experience on the program, but if you do, you know to come to me and we get that sorted. But it might be that you have a yucky experience here as well. So what we really want to do when we have yucky experiences, in order for us to find the gold, the only way we can find the gold is to get out our spade and start shoveling. It's the only way we can find it. And you have a choice. You can leave your shovel or your spade in the shed, and you can just stay in the yuck of the moment and blame everybody else, because that's usually what we do, because that's easier. Because when we're blaming other people, we don't need to look inside because we're too busy looking out there, not actually looking inside. So you can leave your shovel and spade in the shed if you want to, but for you to find the gold, you're going to have to open up that shed door. You're going to have to get your shovel and you're going to have to start digging. So what I want you to think about here, I've got some phrases that I've found really powerful over the last few decades, and I want to share them with you here. So the first one is, what triggers me is about me. So if you're having a yuck experience because you've been triggered by somebody else's words, behaviors, or actions, it's not about them. You think it is, and it's so easy to make it about them as well, but it's not really. It's not about them. So this is a really powerful statement. What triggers me is about me. So you want to go to that yuck part of you, the part that feels yucky, and see what it is that's been activated. And then when we can do that, and you're willing to go there, and you're willing to do the work that shows up there, that's where you get your gold. And then that person whose words or actions really upset you, wounded you, might have had you having a pity party for 2 days under the duvet with mascara all over your duvet cover as well as your pillowcases, you will then be able to thank them, even if it's just internally. And you'll be able to say, wow, I'm so grateful to that person for being what I thought in the moment was really not a nice person, but actually they've helped me see that this is what I need to work on. And now I feel better for that, because you will, because if you're working on it, you're going to feel better. So that's the first one. What triggers me is about me. And just bringing this back into, through the lens of being an animal communicator, if your client is triggered by anything that you say or do in your feedback, they might make that about you. And this is where you want to grow a broad pair of shoulders, because you know inside that it's not about you. If they're triggered, and this is for your family as well, your friends. So if you've said something in your friend group and somebody texts you or phones you and says, you really hurt my feelings yesterday. And it's like, well, actually, it's about them. So you can still be a kind, compassionate, caring friend or partner or relative or whatever the scenario is, but you don't have to take on the responsibility for how they feel, because how they feel is their responsibility. And if you look back to the exercise we just did, taking you to the shit place, then taking you to the nice place, you moved that energy yourself. You were responsible for that. Your person that's telling you that, oh, if you'd only said this, or if you hadn't said that, you wouldn't have ruined my life. It's like, you don't need to take that. They're responsible for them. So remembering that what triggers me is about me, that works for your clients as well. And if you take it into your wider life, it works for those in your wider life too. So if they're triggered by what you've said or what you've done, that is about them, not about you. And let me just bring in a little caveat there. And I don't mean to have a go at the Americans, not at all. But it came from America a few years ago now. But that whole talk to him because the face ain't listening, that whole thing. So when somebody says to you, oh, you said such and such, and that really hurt my feelings, and you caused me anxiety for the whole day, and I couldn't sleep all night. I don't want you know that that's about them. You know that you've just shown up as a mirror for what's going on for them. They might not be at that place of understanding yet. So I don't want you to have that knowledge and know that it's not really about you and do that whole, talk and the face isn't listening. That's on you. Now, that this can sometimes happen in this work, and I did do that too. And it's where there's kind of like a bit of spiritual ego can come in when you first start to learn this. You think, oh, this is actually not about me at all. I just invite you to be more compassionate, and I know that you all will be. So it's not about you, but you don't need to just say, oh, that's not my problem, that's yours. They're probably not even there. So you can have a conversation with them. What I'm inviting you to get really clear on in terms of your boundaries is that even when you're listening to them and you're allowing them to say what they need to say and they want to say, you don't have to take on the responsibility there. You can still hear them. You can still hear them. I actually heard, this has just come to me just now, I heard this the other day on a podcast I was listening to. And it was somebody talking about that, when you're on a program, and this can happen, and for those coming into level 3, we talk about it on the onboarding call. And it's when sometimes you can project onto the person that you're working with, or is your teacher, your mentor, your coach. And it can happen. It doesn't happen for everyone. It doesn't happen to me very often, but it can happen where you become that place where somebody feels safe enough to project all their stuff onto you. So it was in that context. And this was the response. And it just came to me there because this is really what it's about, where the person just turned around and said, okay, I hear all your emotion. I hear all your drama. What do you want me to do with your energy? And I just heard that. I was like, wow, that is so powerful. So powerful. So you're not being dismissive. You're not littling or belittling them in any way, but you're taking responsibility for yourself. It's like, I hear your emotion, your drama. What do you want me to do with your energy? Like, what do you want me to do with that? Because it's not actually yours to do anything. And if they want you to do something with it, then you can choose whether you do, whether you're not. But that just came to me there. That just came to me there. I heard that the other day and I thought it was really powerful. So it's about remembering that this is not your responsibility, but you don't have to do that whole, like, it's not mine, so it's your stuff, go work on your stuff, I'm too busy working on my stuff. You don't need to do that with them, but you know deep down that you don't have to take what they are giving to you. Something else that I really like, another statement, is what I resist persists. And that happened in today's class earlier today in the accountability call, where the lovely Rachel was resisting the horses. And then she got 2. So what I resist persists. So if you are resisting certain things, so if you're having these, because this is in the context of having yuck experiences, so if you keep having the same yucky experience, it might be coming from different angles with different people and in different situations, but if the end result of your yucky experience is the same, even though the context is different, that's where you find your gold. Because if this is the second, third, fourth, 55th time, millionth time where you feel small in a certain environment or a certain set of situations or certain set of circumstances, and you're not going there with your shovel to find the gold in that, that's going to persist. Give me a nod if you're getting that. Yeah. So if you are resisting going to the shed and getting out your shovel, then stuff's just going to keep persisting. So what I resist persists. And then this is a piece that I coined a couple of years ago on one of my animal communication events. And I want to bring it in here because it's really valuable, not just from an animal communication perspective, but from that wider perspective too. The more reflective I am, the more effective I am. And I coined that expression through the animal communication lens. So as an animal communicator, the more you reflect on your work, the more you reflect on your practice, and the more you reflect on how you feel as you move through your practice, the more effective you become, because you're digging for the gold as you do that. So I really like that one too. The more reflective you are, so the more you can look at your stuff, get the spade out, that's where you find your gold, and you become more effective, not just as an animal communicator, but as a human being as well. And I mentioned this one earlier, and I did say to you that it was from this class, but the blocks that show up in your life. So when you're having these yuck experiences and you feel blocked and you can't move on, or you're stuck in a cycle, you might just go around a similar cycle over and over again over years. So when you're in those kind of yucky spaces, I really like this expression. Blocks are not in the way, they are the way. So my blocks are not in the way, they are the way. So another way to put that is that the blocks to my self-confidence, the blocks to me being an extraordinary animal communicator, the blocks to me living the dream life that I wish for and aspire for myself, they're not in the way of these things. They are the way to these things. Because when you work on them and you get that spade out and you start digging, when you work on them, then they become the way, because they then open the way to what it is that you are aspiring to. So they're my key statements that have really helped me over the years to move out of those yucky experiences, because there's always gold to be found if you want to look for it. There is always gold, because if you think back to the first part of this training, we looked at the energetic vibrations, all the different energy frequencies. Everything that happens in our life mirrors back to us at the same frequency at which we are putting out. So if we're stuck in those lower energy centers, then if we're in fear, then the fear energy is going to rebound back like a magnet. You know, we live in a world that has two magnets. You know, everything is magnetized. So we're going to magnetize back to us what we're putting out. That's why when you're in your pity party, you don't want to stay there long. That's why be very careful about where you are putting your attention, because energy flows where attention goes. So everything that you're having in your yuck experience is merely a reflection of where you're, well, they're going to be in the lower energy vibration. So they're just coming back to you. So it's an opportunity for you to go in and clear up. And when you go in and clean up your energy field, it's easier to get up here. And here's the gold in this, because when you are living your life from these higher vibrational centers, then that's the energy you emit, and that's what you magnetize back to you. That's the law. That's fact. That is not to be argued, can't be argued. And that's why the power always is coming into love as the first starting point. Coming into love, coming into gratitude. Raise yourself out of those lower energy centers. The techniques that I've shared with you today, you can use them to neutralize or outshine those lower energy centers. We want to be acknowledging where the wounding is, and then putting the healing in place for the wounding, so we can rise up and live more out of here. And then the more we live out of these higher centers, the more we bring that back. It's the magnetic journey. It comes back to us. The more we're down there, that's what we put out, and that's what comes back. So the more we can practice it, moving into joy, moving into love, moving into gratitude, the easier it is for us to go there when we are in our dark days or our yuck experiences. So when we practice going there, when we're feeling all right, and we're not in the bottom of a deep, dark pit, I mean, can't get out of, if we practice going there before we're in the depths, the real depths of it all, it's much easier for us to get out of when that time comes and we put these practices into place. So that's the two pieces. As I said, the first part was definitely much meatier. And the second part, I really just wanted to remind you of the power of reflecting and looking for the learning, looking for the gold, because it's always there. Everything that's going on for you is just a outward reflection of your inner, what's the word? It's gone. I don't want to use the word ground. You know when it's right on the tip of your tongue and you can't quite get it. So what happens to you, certainly in those yuck experiences, that is just an outward reflection of what's going on in your inner map, your inner territory. They're still not quite the words that I was looking for, but that is just a reflection of what's happening internally. So we want to change the internal. So I'm going, yes, terrain, perfect, thank you. So the outward stuff that's coming in is just a reflection. It's just a mirror of your inner terrain. So when you stop and look at what's happening, why it's yuck, what's causing the yuck, and you dig for the gold, you can then change the inner terrain, and you're not going to magnify that back. You're not going to magnify it out, and you're not going to magnetize it back to you. And then you can start to shift up. It's always about, how do I get up? How do I get up the ladder? How do I get the next rung? How do I get off this rung and up to the next one? Is it joy that I need? Do I need to be with people that make me laugh? Do I need to watch a comedy on television? Do I need to just dance like no one's watching? What do I need? And that's when you go back to that play work from the first part of the class. What 10 things? What can you tune into right here, right now to help you shift that energy? And you might not get the gold straight away. And that's okay too. You might just need to let it sit for a little bit and it might land later. That's all right too. Sometimes we get it straight away, sometimes we don't. It's okay. The key here is doing the looking, getting the magnifying glass out and looking at what's been mirrored back to you. So I hope you've really enjoyed that. It's the stuff I could geek out on all day. So great class, everyone. Thank you so much for those of you that have done the run of classes. That's a champion effort. So go shake out your body, get a drink, get a bathroom break, whatever you need. And if you have any questions about this class, just please bring them to our next call. I'm going to let you go now. Some of you have been here for a little while. But if you do have any questions, you know that you can just bring them to our next call together. And so welcome again, Robin, officially to the programme. And I hope you, well, I don't hope, I trust and know that you're going to have a great time because you're so ready for this. You've been waiting a long time and it's the right time. It's always the right time when it happens. So can't wait to see how you travel over the next while with us. So until next time, everyone, take lots of care. Just keep being your amazing self. And if you need anything at all from me, please just reach out. Till next time, take care, everyone. Bye.